How you doing? We are the Morioh citizens, and this is the duality of Narukami and Tohru Adachi.
Start off, Narukami is the protagonist of Persona 4 Golden, and the character that you play as. Meanwhile,
Tohru Adachi is the main overall antagonist of Persona 4, who's behind the murders in Inaba.
throughout the entire game, AK and I, and a lot of other people, in fact, have noticed that there's this present duality between these two characters, in their clothing, their personas, how they act, their personality, and so on and so forth.
In really all pieces of fiction, there's always two characters that have these clashing ideologies and duality, and Adachi and Yu is the most apparent case here in Persona 4.
And in a lot of works of fiction, there's foil characters, there's opposites to each other, there's there's a lot of these kind of tropes, and duality is one of them. And all the Persona games, in fact, actually have a lot of examples of duality. And here, I actually feel Adachi and Yu are the best examples of duality.
Next to Akechi and Joker.
Obviously.
So, speaking of all duality, the first topic here is appearance. You can see them in their personas, right, FD?
I mean, obviously, one is basically just a hue change of the other one.
Yeah, it's basically Izanagi and Magatsu Izanagi, the persona of Adachi, which is just red Izanagi, but evil.
Exactly.
But evil.
Evil Izanagi. And I mean, what better way to show duality through appearance than literally being your evil twin, right? You got Izanagi, which is the starter persona for the protagonist, and technically the main one as he uses it in other spin-off games. And you got literally Magatsu Izanagi, which translates to corrupt Izanagi, or I think it was chaotic. I'm pretty sure it was chaotic that translates to chaotic Izanagi, which is literally just Izanagi but evil. If anything shows duality, that would be it.
And you can see with the color schemes too, yellow kind of represents Izanagi, and red represents Magatsu Izanagi, yellow representing the light and, the hope, the truth, red representing lies and anger and frustration.
Exactly. And in a way, their colors are actually inverted. You notice how Izanagi has red highlights with yellow eyes and a mainly white palette.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, Magatsu has mainly black palette with majority red and yellow, also spread out through, instead of just being limited to the eyes.
Well, you know how Narukami started Persona as Izanagi. Well, Adachi, Magatsu Izanagi is Adachi's starter persona, except he maxed the out of it.
Adachi took his starter Pokemon and made it the max level without getting any other ones.
They also have this kind of duality with the voice actors, kind of a behind the scenes thing. They have the same voice actor. Johnny Young Bosch, the voice actor of Narukami, actually voices Adachi too. Another kind of, I guess, relating to appearance is, the term, FD, never bring a sword to a gunfight?
Right.
Well, yeah. That's what you exactly did. Narukami.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. His main weapon is
the main weapons are literal opposites of each other.
Yeah.
You got the old weapon of the sword, and you got the new weapon of a gun, and they both kind of play off of each other that.
See, the sword kind of that's more offense. You have to go in, reach there. While Adachi's more from behind the curtain, representing shooting with a gun from far off. And you use more far in.
And moving on, we also got both their Arcanas. In Persona games, every character has a sort of Arcana they represent, and that's how you do social links.
The Arcanas in social links represent the character's personality. Narukami's Arcana is actually the Fool Arcana. The Fool Arcana, it represents someone who is kind of foolish in the world and just is kind of new to the world. It's new,
right?
And have a new perspective.
You see that with him being new to the town, and coming from the outside, and having to make friends with new people and forge bonds and stuff. Meanwhile, Adachi, his Arcana is of the Jest, which is very, very similar and yet so different to the Fool.
The Fool
because
is
it's of the same.
It's the Fool. The Fool is kind of more truthful than the Jester. So the Fool is really more they're being a fool on accident, while the Jester is being. Both of them kind of represent stupidity in a way. The Fool being stupid in on accident, having a new perspective and everything. The Jester, he's playing an act. And who else is playing an act through the whole entire game? Tohru Adachi.
The whole point of him playing an act on purpose and acting like an idiot The entire thing is to cover up what his true arcana is, which is hunger.
The Fool is generally, it's very genuine, while the Jester Arcana is just, it's trying to conceal itself, as FD said, as its true arcana, the Hunger Arcana. And when the Fool emerges, it becomes the World Arcana, which kind of represents knowledge of everything and like helping everyone, completion,
being able to like achieve everything.
While hunger represents emptiness, wanting more, wanting to achieve something but can't grasp it exactly.
Being constantly hungered by this desire. And now finally we move on to both of their ideologies. And if there was an area where their duality shines brightest, it would be here. Because they have complete opposite ways of thinking about like the world.
Adachi's ideology, every Persona fan knows his ideology. The world is shit. That's what he thinks. He thinks the world is just a cruel place.
And that bonds are useless and that there's no point in like making friends or like any of that sort because there's no point in life to begin with. Which is the complete opposite of what
Narukami, he believes there's like a truth to life. He believes bonds are what makes people who they are. And really, in some ways, you and Adachi are kind of the same person, except because of their ideologies, they became different. You could have become Adachi without his bonds. Bonds is what makes a person.
With that, like, you Narukami kind of embodied, like, the spirit of the game and, like, the message of the game. That, you know, as corny as it may sound, the power of friendship is real. Like, it exists. And in the end, when the two battle out, like in like this huge battle that represented like the clash of the ideologies, like, you know, which one's right, which one's wrong. Is the world truly shit, or is it just that Adachi messed up in life and got like dealt the wrong hand?
Adachi is trying to reject the truth, while Yu is trying to embrace it.
The one who wins out is, well, truth. The one who seeks the truth.
Truth prevails all. So that leads us to our final category here, duality.
And as we will with every duality video from here on out, we will pit them against each other in a 1v1.
So,
now AK.
Who would win in a fight? First, we're gonna do with a fist fight here. Well, it's pretty obvious.
Yeah, like if you've ever seen the Persona 4 the animation, you already know the answer to this one. Like it's you.
Yeah, Yu is pretty well built. Adachi, he's not really built.
I mean, when you eat cabbages all day, like, what are you gonna do?
Despite like you being like a high schooler, he towers over Adachi, really, and he has like, more combat experience.
1v1 fist fight is gonna go to you. Now, what about Persona battle though?
We're talking about the main personas here. Adachi's Izanagi is pretty powerful.
Right. In game, like he was able to like use like one of the most powerful attacks like in game, like a Mazio Dime, just like off the bat, which shows something.
But not gonna lie, like FD, as I was like fighting Adachi, I was kind of like, wait, why is his boss battle pretty easy? Like,
honestly, it did feel kind of underwhelming, but that kind of shows that Adachi's like not as strong as you, especially with like all the other personas that you had with his social links and with his bonds and all that. Like it gives him like a clear advantage in this category. So,
but
we're gonna hand it over.
If we're talking about just Izanagi, I would argue that Adachi with Magatsu Izanagi would actually beat Yu. But because Yu has all those other personas, he would beat Adachi.
Exactly. And so, it really depends on how you look at it, but we're gonna hand it over to you, Narukami, for this one.
Overall, this duality is kind of basically the truth over rejecting the truth. Bonds over rejecting the bonds.
Exact opposites.
As the lyrics in Yin Yang said, they're just basically two glasses of water. Yu sees the glass half full, Adachi sees the glass half empty.
And that's just like the essence of duality in the first place. So, we are the Morioh citizens.
And this is the duality of Yu, Narukami, and Tohru Adachi. Well, that about wraps it up.
We'll see you guys in the next one.
See ya.